And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
We get together, have a few laughs.
Joining me now, independent journalist Glenn Greenwald, whose work you will soon find on Rumble. Glenn, that was a lot there, but your thoughts on this idea, it's been germinating for a few days now, that Russia might have sabotaged its own inflow of money from the pipeline, blow it up to play, I guess, four-dimensional chess.
How many things have been blamed on Russia over the past 5 or 6 years by the Western media, by the EU, by neoliberals and deep state operatives that turned out to be completely false? They even invented a conspiracy theory. You probably remember that Russia had some super secret hypersonic weapon that was causing brain damage in American diplomats that nobody had ever heard of before, and it turned out to be debunked even by the CIA. Why would Russia explode their own pipeline that gives them enormous amounts of leverage? They can turn off that pipeline at any time that they want, which gives them exactly the power that they most want. I don't know who did this, but what I do know is what you said, that a state could only do this. But also the U.S. has been obsessed for years, going back to the Bush administration, with trying to bully and coerce and persuade the Europeans not to buy natural gas from Moscow, but to instead buy it from the United States. Donald Trump, while he was being called a Putin asset or blackmailed by the Kremlin, was one of the leaders in badgering the Germans, saying, we pay you for your defense. You should be buying natural gas from us. And now suddenly the pipeline blows up in the middle of this war, and we're going to blame Russia for that? The country that has the least interest in doing it.
Welcome to the Iowatalkguyspodcast. I'm your host, Teepee.
I'm your host, Theo.
And that was Glenn Greenwald.
On the Ingram angle, Fox News.
Bringing up very good points about this Nord Stream incident that just happened on the 26th of September.
September, yes.
So we found this is some very awesome journalism done by Tyler Durden.
Zero Hedge.
Yep. And well, we're just going to open up here with this opening statement he had in this article. It says, something really strange just happened on Monday, September 26th. Large underwater, quote, explosions were detected in the precise areas of the sea where the Nord Stream pipeline system is now leaking. In fact, the explosions were so large that they actually registered on the Richter scale. If someone wanted to purposely damage the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines, very large explosions would be needed because of those pipelines are extremely thick. So, it appears that it was a deliberate act of sabotage. That is why many European officials are now alleging. But if that is the case, who was behind it? So we're going to get into some facts here. He brings up some really good facts here. And
it's like 15 of them.
Right. And he said, so there's some European, I remember you sent me, I think it was a tweet earlier about, was it some Polish?
It was
a Polish
politician. I'm pulling it up right here.
Tweeted.
This is the Daily Wire. Polish politician stuns with tweet suggesting who was behind destroying Russia's pipelines by Ryan Saavedra. September 28th, 2022, Daily Wire. A Polish politician who is married to American leftist writer Ann Applebaum ignited a firestorm on social media this week by suggesting that the United States was behind the damage to Russia's Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines in the Baltic this week. A tweet from Radoslaw Sikorsky. This, I remember seeing this. It came out, right? And I sent it to you, I think.
Yes, you did send it to me.
And it was this guy saying, "Thank you, USA."
Yes.
That's exactly what he said, yeah. He is a member of European Parliament and the chairman of the Delegation for Relations with the United States.
Yeah, and he had more to say than just thank you, the U.S. Go on to read what else he had said than that.
Yeah, Erock decided to show up late and honk. Well, we got the door open here like a turd face.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for showing up.
Yeah. Anyway, so Erock's here now, folks. We're not redoing our starting the show. We just started it, so.
He said, by the way, there's no shortage of pipeline capacity for taking gas from Russia to Europe, including Germany, Sikorsky claimed on Twitter.
Right. And then he says, Nord Stream's only logic was for Putin to be able to blackmail or wage war on Eastern European with impunity. All Ukrainian and Baltic Sea states have opposed Nord Stream's construction for 20 years. Now, $20 billion of scrap metal lies at the bottom of the sea, another cost to Russia of its own criminal decision to invade Ukraine. So,
I think what's going on here is there are competing theories about what happened, right? Competing narratives, if you will.
This has been competing narratives for the entire beginning of this military operation.
In Ukraine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really take what Glenn Greenwald says about subjects like this with a grain of salt just because he's been so accurate for so many years.
Right.
And I know that, I think it was Darren Beatty at the Revolver, he suggested that it's possible that the U.S. would have an interest in doing this somehow because just like we heard Glenn Greenwald say that now they're going to have to look to the U.S. for gas. If we're even pumping it, I don't know. Well, I thought the tap was turned off.
Well.
No new? Whatever.
And just like that Polish politician brought up, what's his name, whatever, he said, this is now Putin can't shut that stream off. He doesn't have the ability to.
It's shut off.
Yeah. I mean, it's shut off. He has to have it shut off, right? But they don't have the ability to turn it back on at will and use it as a weapon, technically. So
you had said earlier that thing was like 90 meters underwater.
Right. So what, getting back to the zero hedge,
300 feet.
70 to 90 meters below sea level. So 300 feet below the
250 to 300 feet.
So obviously, that kind of narrows it down to who can actually do that. Right? I don't think ISIS has any submarines.
No, I don't think that ISIS is
underwater explosive.
Yeah. I don't think that they would even have the capability to drop sufficient depth charges to do anything like
that. And once again, why would Russia do that? They wouldn't shoot themselves in the foot. So far, they've been playing the game pretty good.
Well, I heard that. I sent you guys just a little note because I listened to it on the Glenn Beck radio program earlier this week. He had on I can't remember his name, but he's a representative, and he's on all sorts of intelligence committees. He holds the world record for circumnavigating the globe in an airplane, like speed.
Impressive. Your parents must be very proud.
Oh, he was at Air Force?
Yeah, he was an Air Force officer. And he said he doesn't think that the United States would be behind this.
Well, we should trust him because he's an intelligence officer, buddy.
Once again, I think
that was satire.
We've been burnt enough in recent history, let alone the big picture, of just going off of politicians and bureaucrats off of their word. I mean,
and the intelligence committee's words.
Yeah, I mean, and then think about public health over the past 2.5 years.
Right, prime example.
So
we'll get into that
later. That's the only evidence we really have for I don't think that the U.S. would do this. And let's just be honest, folks. Like, yeah, we're not stooging. We're talking about this prior to the show, but we're not trying to stooge for Putin here.
No, absolutely
he's not some nice guy. We'll
get to that.
Who he is a little bit, but
in another episode. Yeah, we'll go over that in the next episode. So. Yeah, but anyways, getting back to this pipeline, okay? So once again, it's very unlikely that it could have been ruptured by accident because the walls are extremely thick. It's over a little over 1.5 inches thick, the steel wall for the pipe.
I mean that's
pretty hefty duty.
Yeah.
and it's it was rated by engineers to be able to be underneath that amount of pressure of water for the extended time and the flow of how fast the flow of the materials going through there and erosion, all that stuff, right? Very unlikely. Each
measured
section
on the Richter scale in Sweden, right?
Each section of the pipe weighs 11 tons, which goes to 200 or 25 to 24 tons after the concrete is applied, because it's all coated and steel reinforced concrete up to 11 centimeters thick. So that'd be what?
Oh, so it's 1.5 inches of steel
of the wall. Then it's coated.
And then
in
it's coated
concrete.
in concrete for what?
It says 11 centimeters, so that should be.
I mean, yeah, so like
another 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
it's reinforced.
That's pretty okay. Once again, people a lot smarter than us actually designed this to.
Well, they fail from time to time.
They do. We've seen it happen quite a few times. But in this one, yeah. Anyways, it's also being reported that explosions were heard in the areas where the gas is now leaking.
Methane. Tons of methane.
Yeah, and scientists have confirmed while chronic safety concerns have led to 5-mile exclusion zone being imposed around the affected area. Yeah, because they were saying that if you're in a boat and you're going over that portion of the water, you just sink.
Oh, because there's no buoyancy. It's gas.
Yes, exactly.
So
you'd be done. So that's why they had to impose that, which is smart. Yeah.
How many people in the world can dive to 90 meters?
Not very many. There's some special teams, I think, that could do it, especially if they. So here's not only the problem.
Some sort of
you have to be able to know where to place the explosion. If it was an explosion, okay. So I was a demolitions expert in the Marine Corps. You have to know where to place these explosions at in order to, cause the correct type of break, if you want, with the explosion to cause the most catastrophic damage. And when you're doing that down in the dark, 300 feet below the ocean, there's no lights down there.
Yeah.
So it had to have been a team that knew what they were doing. And it couldn't have just been one person. This was no accident. So,
no Mike Erock here.
Swedish National Seismic Network detected one explosion that registered 1.9 on the Richter scale and another one that registered 2.3 on the Richter scale.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's pretty powerful, huh?
Yeah.
The monitoring network said the first explosion occurred at 2:03 a.m. Swedish time with a magnitude of 1.9.
So they said
followed by the second at 7:04.
Powerful underwater explosions.
Well, and here's the other thing. Oh, man. So then they had to set this one off. They had to rig the first one, set it off. And because the way an explosion works underwater, it uses all that water that it's pushing. Instead of a blast wave, it's a giant wall of water now moving at that speed, right? So they must have had if they were
terribly damaging, I'm sure.
If they were cutting it at the same spot, then they were probably afraid if they weren't going to set detonate the explosions off at the same time, that the blast wave would probably maybe push the other ones off of where they had placed them next to it. I'm not sure the logistics of where they were at, this and that. This is just my guess of what I know about explosives and how they operate. And so it took them 5 hours to set up the other sets of charges and detonate the explosion. The first one was set off at 2:03 a.m. Oh, no. 7:05 p.m. So longer than...
No, that was the second one.
The second one was at 7:04 p.m., not a.m. So that's...
2:03 a.m. Monday. The first explosion, Sweden time. Magnitude 1.9 on Richter scale, followed by a second at 7:04 p.m. on the same day. So a good 15 hours,
Yeah,
17 hours.
14, 15 hours. That's a long time. Must have been really dark down there. But obviously, anyway.
So you think it would be like, and this is just us speculating.
Yes,
right?
This is all speculation.
Us spitballing.
Yep.
You think that there could have been, this is, okay, so obviously an expert team of people would be needed to set off explosions like this. So do we have any distance between Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2? I don't know.
I'm going to have to look into that. That was...
But they would want to remain undetected, right? So do you think that this could have been this expert team moving in on Nord Stream, the first explosion, and then move over to the second line and then do the same over there?
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to get a good distance first.
Yeah, like...
And they'd have to be underneath. So then when they would reapproach the area, they would have to be underneath where the gas is pushing up out of it, right?
Another 20 feet down or something?
I don't know. I mean
Jesus.
So just the logistics of pulling off this operation
it's
not a small feat by any means. And we're just a couple guys out in a shack in the middle of Iowa.
Yeah. This is incredible.
Yeah, it's wild. So it said also, here's a crazy another thing. The bubbles spreading are a good 3,280 feet in diameter coming out of there.
A kilometer or so.
Yeah, crazy. And there's footage. You can go look at the video footage of it.
Yeah, or just the pictures.
Yeah, there's pictures of it. It's pretty
Amazing
wild.
enough.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. The smallest is creating a circle about 656 feet in diameter.
That's incredible.
It's insane. The German officials are claiming that this was a deliberate act of sabotage.
I can read this one if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number 6 here on Zero Hedge. Germany is reportedly far less hesitant, however, with officials believing sabotage is virtually the only plausible cause for the leaks. We can't imagine a scenario that isn't a targeted attack. Everything speaks against a coincidence. A government official reportedly told German newspaper Der Spiegel. Yeah, it's a big one over there. And like we said earlier, like I think that Darren Beatty at Revolvers mentioned that, hey, this benefits the United States to a degree, more so than Russia.
Yeah, way more than Russia. It would be stupid for Russia to do it to themselves, really. And then also NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, who we spoke about before on the show, attributed the leaks to an act of sabotage as well. So
most of the time, who really cares what the UN has to say, personally? But
and then, interestingly, the incident took place just one day after thousands of German protesters took to the streets to demand the opening of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Oh, you want it open? Okay.
Very poor choice of words.
Well, it's open now, folks. Not kind of the way they wanted it to be open, I don't think.
That's an interesting theory that I had heard as well. And that would be, so how would that benefit? Well, people in charge, I mean, they're going to have the first crack at everything, right? They're not going to be suffering because the pipeline isn't functional. But, hey, guess what? So now they got people, it's almost like Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War on death ground.
Yeah?
Sun Tzu says, put the army in the face of death where there is no escape, and they will not flee or be afraid. There is nothing they cannot achieve.
Right?
Well,
there's no way out. They're not getting Russian energy now from Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. Those things are blown up.
All those folks that bought up the wood-burning stoves and stuff and everything knew what the heck was going on. Not to mention they have all these immigrant influxes that the German government has been paying for how many years?
Yeah, many from Syria and other places around the world.
So it's going to get rough in Germany, man. The Prime Minister of Denmark also believes that this was a deliberate act of sabotage. And the Ukrainians are blaming the Russians, of course.
Whoa, imagine that.
Strange.
The script writers.
Yeah.
The literal script writing people that write stories for a living and then act them out on television. They write a narrative because that's what they're professionals at.
Mm-hmm. Good television.
Yeah, Ukrainian government.
Yeah, one also, it's been reported, the German magazine Spiegel.
Der Spiegel.
Said the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency recently warned Berlin about the increasing signs of a possible planned attack on the Nord Stream pipeline. Spiegel reported citing unnamed sources. It's always those unnamed sources. Those guys are good, giving information. Good. The CIA tipped off. Excuse me. The CIA tipped off Berlin in the summer that possible attacks on NS1 and NS2 were going to happen.
Yeah, it was back in June or July or something like that, I think.
Kind of like there's been other warnings that we have come to fruition from other people in the past, too. That's weird.
This is a really interesting one here. A former Polish defense minister, Radek Sikorski, has attributed to the United States the sabotage of 2 pipelines, Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, which carry natural gas.
Yeah, well, this is the guy we talked about earlier.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, he's the former defense minister. Okay. Huh. And does he not have ties to the Clintons somehow?
Well, we'll have to look into that. But Joe Biden previously threatened to end the Nord Stream 2 pipeline if Russia invaded Ukraine.
Yeah, kind of like he threatened to withhold $1 billion from the Ukrainian government if they didn't fire a prosecutor that was looking into his son's business dealings in said country.
With Burisma? Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. That he was on the board. He had a no-show job. He was on the board of making
correct
tons of cash, at least by my standards.
We go over a lot of that in episode 7. You want
right.
to hear that, go check that out.
The Hunter Bolger,
Hunter Bolger
connection.
Ukraine connection. Mm-hmm. So also Victoria Nuland has also previously threatened the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward.
Along with Joe Biden,
Secretary of State.
You can play those if you'd like.
Yeah, let's listen to. Go ahead and play that.
Here's President
Old Joe.
Let's just call him like Crowder calls him, former Vice President
Joe
Biden.
I like that.
Let me answer the first question first. If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
But how will you do that exactly? Since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control.
Well, with a crack team.
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Heck yeah. America.
Yeah. like the movie Armageddon or what's that other one? I don't know. I think maybe it's just Armageddon.
Deep Impact? I don't know.
They didn't have miners.
No.
They didn't have drillers.
We need the best deep underwater drillers known to man. We're sending you guys. There's a pipeline on the moon.
It's Russian. We need you to blow it up.
This is training. This is all training exercise. So then, let's play that clip of Secretary of State Victoria.
Undersecretary of State.
Yeah,
Victoria
I'm sorry.
Nuland.
Yeah, my bad. Undersecretary. The undersec.
With regard to Nord Stream 2, we continue to have very strong and clear conversations with our German allies, and I want to be clear with you today. If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward.
All right. Yep, there you have it, folks. But hey, in better news, we got good news here in all this, okay? Leaders from Poland, Norway, and Denmark have attended a ceremony to mark the opening of the new Baltic Pipe, a key stage in the drive to wean Poland and Europe off of Russian gas.
Wow.
Yeah, the pipeline will transport natural gas from the Norwegian shelf via Denmark and through the Baltic Sea to Poland. It is the centerpiece of a Polish strategy to diversify away from Russia that began years before Moscow's February invasion of Ukraine triggered a global energy crisis.
So the Poles, who already hate Russia, had an interest in seeing Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 blown up. Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that?
Maybe the Poles did it. Maybe they had a crack team. Hey, because I know the Polish has some really fantastic anti-terrorism special teams.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They have some really good ones. Some of the most renowned in the world. Right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure that they have trained as members of NATO hand in hand with the best operators that the U.S. has to offer.
It was on that video game.
Erock. GROM.
Yeah, GROM. The GROM team.
Yeah.
The Polish GROM teams.
Wow. I'm sure that they have trained with the best that the United States has to offer.
Yeah, if you go look up one of those YouTube videos.
British,
like
SAS.
Yeah, they've...
SBS.
Spetsnaz. Yeah, they're up there.
Even... Oh, yeah.
You know, they're up there in that caliber of warrior. Okay. So, and then getting into point number 15 here, the last one that Zero Hedge wanted to hit here is the German Tagesspiegel. Es Klatschverzählt. The Tagesspiegel reports that German security authorities assume that 3 tubes of the Baltic Sea pipeline Nord Stream 1 and 2 will be forever unusable after alleged attacks of sabotage. There's another problem, though. I mean, because here's another... They're totally right with this. So, if they're not repaired quickly, a lot of salt water is going to start running into those steel tubes. And what does salt do to steel?
Oh, it's going to eat it up in no time.
It's going to corrode those pipelines.
Yes, absolutely.
So, this could be, pretty devastating.
Forever unusable.
I wouldn't say forever, but hey, man. And it's about to get the bitter cold of winter, too.
Yeah.
That's
for Northern Europe, Denmark.
It's another issue.
Germany, Poland, of course.
Right. It's another issue. So there you have it, folks. That's the information that we have so far about the Nord Stream pipeline incidents. I mean, I don't...
I just find the instant brush off that some people can do with not thinking that the United States... You know, some people, I think, believe that the United States government, military, still behave in such a, honorable way that they wouldn't do this. They just wouldn't do that.
Right.
I remember actually I heard
rules.
Glenn...
rules, man.
I heard Glenn Beck earlier this week. Would our special forces do that? Well, I think that those men are like the best of the best at executing whatever the mission is, right?
Yeah, and they've learned a lot over the last 20 years of being at war with insurgents and stuff.
Yeah. How many times do you think some of those guys have been?
But here's another thing. This is the same special forces teams. Well, not the same ones, but same mentality, probably the same people involved in them as far as the command intelligence goes, that tried to kidnap a president in frickin' Somalia during a humanitarian mission.
Oh, Black Hawk Down?
Yes.
93.
So would our military do this, Glenn? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they would. Also, our military was the one that, what was it? Hey, look up, Erock, look up Jim Morrison's dad's name.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Admiral. He was an admiral. We know that.
Naval admiral, intelligence officer, George Morrison.
George Morrison, Rear Admiral. What was his rank?
Yeah, I think it was a Rear Admiral. Anyways, yeah, he drummed up the whole Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Did he? Is he credited with that?
This is public knowledge. This is unclassified knowledge. You can go look it up. And it's really weird.
Gulf of Tonkin was based on
a lie. It never happened.
What was it?
That our military
North Vietnamese PT boats were firing on
what was
the name of that ship?
Oh man. Is it out in there? Erock? The USS Carter Hall. No, that wasn't it.
USS Liberty.
That should have been.
Oh no.
That would have been so ironic.
Oh no. Say again.
The Maddox. Oh, yeah.
Maddox. USS Maddox.
So
Liberty's another subject.
Yeah. And if you want to get down that rabbit hole, which we're going to do a show on maybe in the future, we're going to do some Laurel Canyon stuff. So, yeah, odd that Jim Morrison was a nice, clean-cut kid, had a college education. Then after all this craziness happened, he went and started the Doors.
Yeah.
Lived on the beach as a bum with some witches and did some black magic, supposedly, and became a rock star. Baby, won't you light my fire?
Made his deal with the devil.
Must have. Or the government. Which devil was it?
Was that Erock?
Yeah. Riders on the storm. So. Riders on the storm. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much all we got for this one. We are now on locals, folks.
Yeah.
All right.
Iowatalkguys.locals.com.
It's in the description.
Follow us. I'm in the process of getting everything loaded up on there.
Getting all of our content on there, and you guys will be able to comment. We want to get you guys involved, So please hit us up. And I know
Iowatalkguys.locals.com.
Right? Hit us up on Twitter at @IowaTalkGuys. And if you guys could just go and give us a follow, we really appreciate it. Even if you don't get involved personally and on social media, just following us helps us out a lot.
Sure,
And share with your friends. We'd really appreciate that.
Yes, please.
You want to get a hold of us, you know our emails that are in the description down there. Just go check it out.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yep. And you didn't hear too much from Erock because somebody forgot their mic again.
That's why he's the techie for now.
That's right. Anyways.
Yeah.
We'll let it slide again.
Yeah,
hopefully you don't get ripped apart in the comment section. Please rip them apart in the comment section.
No. Or by an ape or a chimpanzee, because I hear that they're
freakishly
ruthless.
strong, and
so
ruthless. Remember that one that ripped that lady's face off?
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Have a great night.
Appreciate it.
Great weekend. Great week. Whatever day you're listening to this, it don't matter. We just hope that you have a good one.
Erock next to us here, Mikeless. I'm Theo.
I'm Teepee.
Iowa Talk Guys out.